Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Yesterday night, Manchester United lost 3-2 to RB Leipzig at the Red Bull Arena. Very disappointed. Manchester United are out of the Champions League and we are back in the Europa League. I've got to say, our defensive errors cost us the game. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer horribly got it wrong. And you have to blame him. And I think he has taken responsibility. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not the man to lead Manchester United to long-term success. Obviously, Ole played with a back five. And he made around 5 changes from the 3-1 win against West Ham. But yeah, RB Leipzig were 1-0 up in the first 2 minutes of the game. It was a goal from Angelino. He's currently on loan from Manchester City. Angelino also got an assist in the game. RB Leipzig were 2-0 up in 13 minutes. Their second goal came from Haidara. He also got an assist as well as scored. And their third goal came from Justin Kluivert. And RB Leipzig also had a goal disallowed. That was Willy Orban. And Emil Forsberg also had a great chance for them in the first half, but he didn't convert it. We did show a good spirit though to get ourselves back into the game. Obviously our first goal came from a Bruno Fernandes penalty. Mason Greenwood was the one that won the penalty because he got brought down by Konate. And obviously our second goal came from Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba's goal actually came off Harry Maguire. A few of RB Leipzig players actually said it came off Harry Maguire's arm. And we did perform better in the second half. You know, like I said, we got 2 goals. We obviously had chances as well. You know, Bruno Fernandes had some good chances. Obviously, Gulaxi made some good saves for RB Leipzig. Bruno Fernandes also hit the crossbar from a free kick. You know, Greenwood, he had some chances as well. But you can't be 3-0 down and expect to come back and win a game. You know, football just doesn't work like that. We brought all of our 5 substitutions on. Donny van de Beek, he came on. As soon as he came on, we reverted to a back 4. You know, Donny van de Beek actually made an impact when he came on, to be fair. I think Donny van de Beek should have started the game. Paul Pogba did come on. You know, he didn't start the game, Paul Pogba. Brandon Williams, he also came on in the game. Timothy Fosu-Mensah, he also came on. And Axel Tuanzebe, he came on. Rashford, you know, he started the game. I thought Rashford was okay. You know, he did have some chances in the game. But the first 20 minutes of the first half was just not good enough. You know, we couldn't deal with any crosses. You know, RB Leipzig were just playing with a high line. You know, they played between the lines far too easily. You know, they found their key players in space far too easily. and from Manchester United perspective, it's just not good enough. We beaten RB Leipzig at Old Trafford around 2 months ago, 5-0. Obviously, Marcus Rashford had scored a hat-trick, and the other goals came from Anthony Martial and Mason Greenwood. And that was one of our best wins under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. But I did say, didn't I, prior to this game in Leipzig, I said this game was going to be totally contrast to the one at Old Trafford, and I was proven right. You know, Solskjaer was saying prior to this game that we will not be playing for the draw that we need. He says playing for 0-0 is not in our genes. And in that first half, we was playing for the draw. But like I said to you, RB Leipzig are a good team. You know, they've got one of the best young coaches in the world in Julian Nagelsmann. You know, they're doing very well in the Bundesliga now. You know, they're sitting second. You know, last season they progressed to the Champions League semi-finals. They also finished, you know, third, was it, in the Bundesliga last season. And don't forget, you know, they had quite a few players out with injury yesterday night. You know, they had no Konrad Lehmann, they had no Klosterman, they had no Henrichs, they had no Hartmann, they had no Hwang. Don't forget, you know, Dayot Upamecano was suspended for them. He was very, very poor though in the game at Old Trafford almost 2 months ago. And we've been linked with Dayot Upamecano quite a few times, and there was reports earlier on this season saying that we could go in for him at the end of, you know, the season, because he's going to be available for around £36 million, because that's when his release clause has become active. But the good performance for RB Leipzig were Marcel Sabitzer. He played well, got an assist. Like I said, Angelino played very, very well. It's embarrassing, you know, seeing a left-back score against us. You know, Danny Olmo looked a threat for them. You know, Emil Forsberg looked a threat for them. Kluivert, he made an impact when he came on. Yusuf Poulsen, you know, he did well when he came on. But I've got to say that Wan-Bissaka had a very, very poor game for Manchester United. Lost the ball too many times. I thought Angelino had Wan-Bissaka in his pocket. Wan-Bissaka showed no attacking intent, and defensively he was poor. He was playing at right wing back. And it's a shame because Wan-Bissaka has enjoyed some good games this season for Manchester United. You know, this is his second season at the football club. We got him in a deal worth £50 million from Crystal Palace in the summer of 2019. He's only scored one goal for the football club, and that was the 4-1 win against Newcastle earlier on in the season. We have got element of concerns about him. Now, Lindelof and Harry Maguire, they had very, very poor games. You know, they were far too exposed at the back. You know, do you think Harry Maguire was at fault for one of the goals? It was partly to blame for the third goal because he obviously had that mix-up with David De Gea. Now, I've got element of concerns about Harry Maguire. He just makes too many mistakes, but there has been games this season where he's been very, very consistent and that, you know, where he's been very effective in the air and he showed that ability to play out from the back and that. but he certainly wasn't worth the £80 million that were paid for him from Leicester. At the moment, he's the most expensive centre-half in the world, and he is our current captain. I've got to say, Luke Shaw, very, very poor. You know, he was too exploited, was Luke Shaw, and he left far too much room for RB Leipzig to get in behind. It was Luke Shaw's first start for Man United in like a month, because obviously he's just come back from a hamstring problem. Luke Shaw, before I got that hamstring injury though, was in good form, but he had a very, very poor game yesterday night. My element of concern about Luke Shaw anyway is that he's injury prone. You know, he was playing at left centre half. Tellez, he had a very, very poor game. You know, that's his first poor game as a Manchester United player. I still think he'll be a good signing for Manchester United. Tellez, don't get me wrong, you know, every player does have a bad game at some point. So yeah, I've got to say, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Alex Tellez all cost us the game. You know, David De Gea, you know, wasn't good either, to be honest with you. You know, you can say he was actually at fault for the third goal. And to be honest with you, David De Gea has done well in quite a few games this season where he's made very, very good saves. But there's been some games where he really hasn't had much to do. You know, this is David De Gea's 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been a long servant, and he will remain our number one for this present time, but there's a lot of Manchester United fans now saying that Dean Henderson should be put as number one. David De Gea just come back from a knee injury. Now, Scott McTominay, I don't think he had the best of games either. Couldn't get forward enough. I thought Matic was quite poor. Bruno Fernandes, I've probably got to say he was one of our best players. Like I said, he did have good chances. Obviously, got his name on the score sheet from the penalty. Did he get the assist for Paul Pogba's second as well? You know, Bruno Fernandes has made the difference in this team. You know, taking Bruno Fernandes out of this team, we'd be in a worse position than we are in without a shadow of a doubt. You know, Bruno Fernandes has endured nearly a year now at Manchester United. He's scored quite a lot of goals. A lot of his goals have come from the penalty spot. He's also provided assists. He did win Player of the Month for November. He's won that now quite a few times. We paid £47 million for Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon back in January. It actually recently said after the 3-1 win against West Ham that Man United are preparing to offer Bruno Fernandes a new £200,000 a week contract, doubling his current wages, because at the moment he's on around £100,000 a week. You know, Bruno Fernandes is on the same as Dean Henderson, Jesse Lingard. He's 11 months into the 4.5-year deal that he signed when we signed Bruno Fernandes back in January. But Bruno Fernandes is definitely the best signing we have made since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Now, Marcus Rashford, like I mentioned earlier on, he did make some good runs, did Marcus Rashford, and he did have his opportunities, but obviously didn't convert them. You know, Rashford has improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. You know, like I said, I think he's now got that finishing asset. He gets good runs in behind. He scores goals. You know, Rashford scored a good goal against West Ham. chips the goalkeeper. Obviously, should have had another one because he hit the post. Marcus Rashford turned 23 quite a few weeks ago now. He's been in United playing since the age of 7 and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. He was playing centrally yesterday. Like I've said, I think he's more effective out wide than he is centrally. Mason Greenwood, he wasn't bad. Like I said, he did have chances in the game and obviously he was the one that won us the penalty. Greenwood obviously scored at the weekend against West Ham. I hadn't had much of a perception on Greenwood this season because obviously he's had off-field issues and obviously he's had injuries and he was out with illness at one point. But recently I've had a bit of a perception on him and I think he's done well. Solskjaer's been defending Mason Greenwood a lot this season. Solskjaer did mention that he has enjoyed a fantastic year. Mason Greenwood's got a contract with the club until 2023 and at the start of this season we give him that number 11 shirt. Solskjaer gave his perception on the 3-2 loss to RB Leipzig and he basically said, Manchester United didn't turn up. Like I mentioned earlier, he says, you can't go 3-0 down and expect to come back. But he said we did show good spirit in the second half to get ourselves back into the game. We can't keep doing this though, can we? Falling behind and then start to play after the 50th or 60th minute mark. Because that's exactly what happened against West Ham. For 60 minutes, we was played off the park. We was 2-0 down, then all of a sudden... 1-0 down, and then all of a sudden we got ourselves back into the game and went and won 3-1. In the game against Southampton a few weeks ago, we was 2-0 down at half-time, and then all of a sudden we started playing in the second half. We can't keep doing that. We've got to be on the front foot from the beginning of the game. By the way, Solskjaer pinpointed the 2-1 defeat to Istanbul Başakşehir as the turning point in the group stage. But honestly, I thought we'd have gone through because we had a fantastic start in Europe. We obviously beaten PSG 2-1 in Paris. We beaten RB Leipzig 5-0 at Old Trafford. We obviously beat Başakşehir at home 4-1. We only needed 1 point. That would have done it. And then would have been into the last 16. You can say yesterday night, Anthony Martial and Edison Cavani were a big miss. But I don't think that's an excuse, really. Obviously, Anthony Martial, I think, has got a groin problem. And Edison Cavani's got a problem with his muscle. To be honest with you though, even if Martial would have been fit, I wouldn't have started him yesterday night against RB Leipzig because Martial's been out of form and he hasn't been clinical enough this season. Martial did start against West Ham. Obviously had a good chance in that game, didn't convert it. He obviously came off. He had 2 chances against PSG, didn't convert them. Solskjaer explained why Anthony Martial has been out of form prior to the game against Istanbul Başakşehir, and he said it was largely down to the 3-match suspension that he had in the Premier League because he did get sent off in our 6-1 defeat to Tottenham. But Martial's failed to replicate this season what he did last season because last season he was good. He scored 23 goals in 48 games. He did well in his debut season under Louis van Gaal era. Martial's enjoyed a good 5 years or so now at the football club. And, he's playing a lot central last season, because Solskjaer was the one that gave him the number 9 shirt. When we've played him recently, he's been playing out wide. Anthony Martial. I've got to say though, Edison Cavani was a big miss. Edison Cavani has enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He weren't great against West Ham when he started. obviously had to get taken off against West Ham because of injury, but the other week he's come off the bench to score twice against Southampton and also got an assist. He did well in the Besiktas game, he did well in the West Brom game when he came on. He scored his first goal for the football club in our 3-1 win against Everton. He also he almost scored with his first touch when he came on against Chelsea. That was his Premier League debut. Now, he did actually say that Cavani is facing a 3-match ban. That's minimum. Obviously, for the racist comment that he put on social media. And obviously, the FA have been investigating this social media post. But I think we try to get him out of this ban by the FA. You know, Solskjaer said prior to the PSG game that he does support the FA for investigating the social media post, but he did mention that Edison Cavani apologised. Obviously, Fred, we had no Fred because he was suspended because he got sent off in our 3-1 defeat to PSG the other week because he received 2 yellow cards. Could you say Fred was a miss? Because Fred has enjoyed good games this season for Man United. You know, Fred, though, was lucky not to be sent off in the first half for the headbutt on Paredes. He got the second yellow card from the challenge on Ander Herrera. I've got to say that wasn't a second yellow because he did win the ball. So yeah, our next game is Manchester City. That's this weekend in the Premier League. And we won't have a lot of confidence now, reflects on this result against RB Leipzig. You know, Manchester City have been in a good vein of form recently. You know, not so long ago they beat Fulham 2-0 and they beat Burnley 5-0 the other week. You know, they've got one of the best managers in the world in Pep Guardiola. You know, Pep Guardiola has been at City now for, is it a good 4 years or something like that? You know, he's won 2 Premier Leagues with them, he's won the FA Cup with them, and he's won a few League Cups with them. Don't forget, he became the fastest manager to reach 100 wins in the Premier League. City finished on 100 points a few seasons ago. And they won the domestic treble a few seasons ago. You know, Pep Guardiola, not so long ago, signed a 2-year contract with Man City. He's got a good pedigree behind him. You know, Pep Guardiola's won so much in his career. You know, he won a lot in his playing career and he's won quite a lot in his managerial career. He was good at Barcelona and Bayern Munich. You know, City won the title under Manuel Pellegrini. They also won it under Roberto Mancini. You know, when they won it under Roberto Mancini, that was the first time they won the title in like 44 years. And, you know, City have got good players that we need to be aware of. You know, obviously they've got the likes of Gabriel Jesus. They've got Raheem Sterling. They've got Aguero. Will he be available for the game at the weekend? Because Aguero, I think's been out with a knee injury. They've got Riyad Mahrez, who we need to watch out for. They've got Ferran Torres. They signed Ferran Torres during the summer transfer window. You know, they've obviously got Kevin De Bruyne. He's regarded as one of the best midfielders in the league. And they've obviously got Ilkay Gundogan. They've got Rodri. And to be honest with you though, Rodri, I don't think he's made the best of impacts at City. They've obviously got Benjamin Mendy. You know, he's their left back. He's injury prone though, he's Benjamin Mendy at Man City. Their centre-halves have obviously got Fernandinho. He's now, 35. They've got Ruben Diaz. They got him during the summer transfer window. They've got Nathan Ake. You know, they got him from Bournemouth during the summer transfer window. You know, Kyle Walker's their right back. So there you go. We did beat City 3 times though last season out of the 4 times we played them. Don't forget. So that is a must-win game for Manchester United at the weekend. It really, really is. But I think Manchester United need to get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I said, he's not the long-term manager for Manchester United. And I was saying, wasn't I? Even when we'd beaten, Southampton, even when we'd beaten West Ham and that, I still said Solskjaer's not the long-term manager for Man United. He's way out of his depth. He's clueless. And we need a manager that suits the trappings of the club. Now, there's a lot of Manchester United fans that are demanding Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino has actually been the favourite to take over at Old Trafford. Pochettino was the favourite to take over at Old Trafford after Jose Mourinho got sacked. But it said the other week that Pochettino was the favourite to take over at Real Madrid. Now, the Manchester Evening News said earlier on this season that Man United had made an approach for Mauricio Pochettino. And he came on Monday Night Football earlier on this season. This was before the Leeds-Leicester game, saying that obviously he's missing football and he's ready for a return to management. And he's been watching a few teams, this Pochettino, try to weigh out, the next club, weigh out what his next club will be. Pochettino's been managerless now for is it a year or just over a year? Pochettino's managed 3 clubs so far in his managerial career. That was Espanyol, Southampton and Tottenham. Pochettino did endure 5.5 years with Tottenham, and analysing the vast majority of his tenure, Tottenham were competing in and out of the top 4. But he did guide Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final last year. He got them to League Cup final and guided them to 2 FA Cup semi-finals. And he was backed by Daniel Levy at Tottenham. Now, at Southampton, he guided Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League era, but he only enjoyed a short tenure at Southampton. Pochettino's a better manager than Ole because he's proven in the Premier League, his philosophy is good and he's dealt with top players. My only concern about Pochettino is that he's not won anything in terms of silverware. Now, obviously, he's not the only manager that's been on our agenda. Obviously, Massimiliano Allegri, he's been on our agenda. Julian Nagelsmann, he's been on our agenda. Reports from Germany were saying not so long ago that Thomas Tuchel was on our agenda. But Solskjaer is under pressure, but he won't be sacked yet as Manchester United manager. I think he could still be Man United manager in the new year. There's still some Man United fans saying give him till the end of the season and see what happens. It's nearly now his 2-year anniversary at the football club, because he's been at Man United now for almost 2 years. We appointed him in December 2018 and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. And he's under contract with the football club until 2022. And I'm very, very sceptical that he will see out his contract. But Woodward came out the other week and said, Manchester United he said Man United will back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. And he's come out several times to support Ole as Woodward. But reflect on our inconsistency. The blame stems from Ole. Not all of the blame stems from him. Obviously certain players have got to take responsibility. We've been very critical of the board for several years. Obviously reflect on the mistakes they've made. Obviously, they haven't backed any of the managers that we've had since Ferguson left. So they didn't back Moyes, they didn't back Van Gaal, they didn't back Mourinho, and they haven't backed Solskjaer enough. And like I've already said to you, I think it would be very beneficial if we could get a director of football in, because that's one of the structural changes that we need at the football club. We've got to get rid of more of the deadwood next year. Next year, we've obviously got to make more signings. So there you go. You obviously already know the news on Paul Pogba. Solskjaer has hit back at Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, saying that he needs to understand that football is about teams rather than individuals. Because Mini Raiola's come out and recently said that, Paul Pogba's time at Man United is over and he won't sign a new contract and he's unhappy and he has to leave. I'm expecting Paul Pogba to leave next year. Could even leave in January, to be honest with you. But his last 2 games, he scored 2 goals, Paul Pogba, to his credit. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.